Hi, this is Dana Ranahan from Bodywork Sports Physiotherapy in North Vancouver, and today I want to talk about core muscles or core strength. So this time of year, everyone's back to sports, running, soccer, or whatnot, and there's lots of emphasis on starting to build your core strength, which is great. However, I wanted to identify a little bit of the differences in what different types of the core mean and how we want to use them. So effectively, we have an inner core or a deep core that works to stabilize our spine, and we have an outer core, which are kind of the bigger muscles that do more powerful movements, so like our sit-ups, that kind of thing. So what we find in the clinic here is that people, especially that have pain, their inner core muscles tend not to work very well, or they become kind of disconnected or not working in the right order of things. And I think that sometimes we see this even with athletes or people who are busy doing sports or gardening or whatever it may be. So effectively, this deep core is almost like a donut kind of around our spine and pelvis that maintains stability. So when we go to do movements, this deep system kicks in to stabilize. So effectively, if I go to move my arm, my inner core muscles should stabilize my spine so that I don't get translation or movement through my spine. And then on top of that, once the deep system is working, then we get the bigger muscles on top. So I wanted to help make some sense to that for you because it sounds a little bit confusing. So if we take a look at, I have a nice picture of the spine here, and we can kind of zoom in on this model. This is a guy with not all his muscles here, but when we look at the inner core is comprised of the diaphragm, which is kind of like an umbrella in the lower part of the rib cage, and it forms the roof of the core. Now, when we get to the next muscle, this is the transversus abdominis muscle, which is our deep abdominal muscle. And as you can see, it's quite fascial across the front, and it runs almost like a girdle all the way around and fascially connects to the back. Now, there's some deeper back muscles called the multifidus muscle underneath here that are also considered part of the inner core muscles. And then we also have some muscles sort of through the pelvic floor. Hang on, let me get it. That down and through here that form like a bowl on the bottom half of the pelvis and effectively create stability. Now, as I said, these muscles are deep to the other muscles. So if I add the layers of muscles on top now, we can look at, there's your rectus abdominis or your six-pack muscles. And then on top of that, we have your internal oblique and your external oblique. So there's layers of muscles. The more superficial muscles, the external oblique here, which runs kind of, you can see how it runs here. Internal oblique, oops, sorry, my mistake. Internal oblique underneath, rectus abdominis, and then we have this transversus abdominis underneath. So very important for us to learn how to activate this deep system so that it can stabilize our spine, like the donut kind of around the spine, before we bring in those bigger muscles. Because as I said, it uses like an anticipatory function, so this deep system activates to stabilize before we move. So if you're having any trouble or any questions or really want to train your core the best way possible to generate the best power, you really need to get some deep core activation. And we have lots of information on our website, or feel free to give us a call or check out our clinic if you have more questions specifically. Our website is at www.body-works.ca.